claw marks tell many stories. Battles fought, territories conquered, partners lost. But they also reveal much of their narrators who wielded them into tales. The depth of the wound, the edge of the knife, clues to what creature lurks in the lands yet unseen. One lesson the Hunters Guild makes sure to impart on novice hunters is that there is no typical shape for monsters. While the archetypical idea of a monster hunter imagines a battle between man and winged wyvern, monsters come in all sorts of shapes and dispositions. One can never be too sure to have the full measure of all the different kinds of creatures that roam our lands, and the guild was, among many times, reminded of this truth in regards to the fanged beasts. Established during the second generation of research, fanged beast is a classification that includes monsters with strongly developed mammalian features, distinguishing them quite harshly from all wyvern. The three initially classified genera in this group all resembled primates, and for a while there was some debate if the classification should simply be renamed to Primatius or something similar. But then, a survey team from Terosu returned with an intriguing report. In the mountain village of Yukumo, stories tell of a beast that guards the riverbanks. A hulking fiend with long claws and sharp teeth, one that resembles no wyvern. The description seemed to hint at a fanged beast, but made no mention of any ape-like features. Naturally, an expedition team was sent into the mountain range surrounding Yukumo, a hunting ground called the Misty Peaks. Not long after, the first sighting of the mysterious beast occurred. It did largely fit into the fanged beast category, but its body plan was unlike the previous members. It was pear-shaped, with long and hard claws on the forelimbs. The creature was also seemingly quite comfortable standing on its hind legs. After some deliberation, it was decided to, once again, overhaul the official phylogenetic tree. The Sharp Claw Order, the scientific name for the fanged beast group, was split into two suborders. Hard Tooth was made to include the ape-like monsters, whose prominent and distinct teeth shapes made for a functional taxonomic marker. The Hard Claw suborder, meanwhile, comprises all pear-shaped beasts with strong forelimbs sporting long and hard claws. And its first member was the Beast of the Misty Peaks, officially named Arzuros. This medium-sized fanged beast resembles a bear in general appearance, and is a native of the Terosu region. The Arzuros is commonly sighted in the Misty Peaks near Yukumo and the Shrine Ruins near Kamura, but an offshoot population on Moga Island has also been confirmed. No regional variations have thus far been observed. Wherever one may find it, the Arzuros is a gluttonous beast, an omnivore that will devour just about anything. The blue and white beast prowls forests and mountains for food, and will chase down any leads to its favorite snack, honey. One also often finds the Arzuros near rivers, where it catches fish with its massive claws. A single Arzuros is known to claim an enormous territory, in which it displays a fascinating behavior. The Arzuros is constantly on the move, and mentally notes down the locations of potential food sources as it finds them. good fishing spots, large beehives, mushroom patches, they all become part of a sophisticated mind map. But instead of gorging itself on these bounties and moving on, the Arzuros never feeds too much in one single spot, rotating between all of its feeding grounds constantly. It appears that the seemingly gluttonous beast carefully avoids depleting any one food source, and instead allows them to replenish themselves regularly by rotating around so much. This amazing strategy has led many scholars to wonder if the Arzuros might be more intelligent than initially thought. Studying the Arzuros is luckily much easier than it is with many other monsters, as it lives in mild climates and is generally not very aggressive most of the time. However, it is still a monster and will attack if it feels threatened. Should it sense an imminent confrontation, the Arzuros will stand up on its hind legs, stretch out its arms, and roar. This display is a warning. Back off, or I'll make you. The most common reason for confrontations is that someone or something dared to encroach on the beast's favorite beehive. Should the interloper not heed the warning, the Arzuros goes on the offensive. While it may look fluffy, the Arzuros is covered in numerous different kinds of tissue. Its white fur is indeed soft and pleasant to the touch, but the blue fur is tough, rigid, and resistant against impacts. The hard shelling that covers select parts of its body offers even further protection. These shell plates, however, also constitute the beast's main weapon, as the shell on the forelimbs is fused with the claws and modified into a specialized structure called a beast bracer. These bracers enhance the strength and durability of the claws and protect the forearms from damage. Arzuros bracers, specifically, also grow various pointed protrusions along the forearm, which can lacerate targets even if the claw swipe itself misses. And should an enemy be hit dead on by those claws, it's lights out for most. They are razor sharp and can easily make mincemeat of most adversaries. The Arzuros is a decent fighter and can even fend off larger monsters, but it is not born to dominate. Its food instinct is extremely high, and it will get easily distracted by food if it tires of fighting. It can even be tricked into eating poisoned or drugged meat, which has been quite useful in gathering samples from wild specimens. And while it will viciously attack humans carrying its favorite foods, such as honey, Arzuros are also known to completely ignore the potential threat once they actually get their claws on their snack. Still, getting grabbed by a hungry Arzuros is an unpleasant experience, and due to its rough nature, many novice hunters call this monster the Demon Bear. As far as the guild is concerned, Arzuros hunts are of low to medium priority, since they only rarely venture close to human settlements. The most common request comes from Yukumo tailors asking for Arzuros fur, which is a key ingredient in many traditional Yukumoan clothing styles. Now, while a regular Arzuros poses no great threat, that is not to say that the species cannot be dangerous. Arzuros are affected by deviance, a phenomenon by which individuals of a species will, for a variety of often unknown reasons, develop into a different, much more threatening form. This is similar in concept to a variant, but distinguished by the immense danger and rarity of the phenomenon. The guild thus calls these monsters deviants instead, to adequately warn hunters what they're in for. Deviants of Arzuros are called Redhelm Arzuros. Like with many deviants, what exactly causes an Arzuros to turn out like this is unknown. But what is undeniable is the startling transformation that takes place. The hide and fur become enlarged and take on a darker tone with red accents. A tuft of bright red hair adorns the head of the deviant, granting it the title Redhelm. The body of this Arzuros is enhanced in many different ways. Its fur is now as hard and resistant as armor, and can even repel blades reliably. Its shell is likewise much stronger, granting the beast immense defense while also boosting its claws to a higher degree of lethality. But the biggest difference between regular and deviant individuals lies in the muscles. Redhelm Arzuros have a supremely enhanced musculature, granting them the strength to perform actions the regular Arzuros can only dream of. The species' hind legs are powered up enough to enable giant, crushing leaps and pounces. Meanwhile, the arms are even further developed, to the point where the Redhelm's claw swipes can dislodge massive boulders from the ground and create air blasts with immense pressure. While regular Arzuros are considered low-priority threats and often handled by novice hunters, Redhelm Arzuros are extremely dangerous and can only be hunted by hunters with special permits. Once the hard-claw suborder of fanged beasts had been established, the guild was eager to fill it with new discoveries. So, representatives began asking around allied regions about rumors and myths describing creatures that resembled the Arzuros in rough shape. Before long, a promising lead presented itself. Various villages in the Furahia region told their children stories about the Giant of the Snowfields, a mysterious entity that wanders the Arctic lands and that can be seen digging in the snow from afar. While parents say that it digs holes to bury naughty children in, the guild identified this as the potential behavior of a flesh and blood monster. The descriptions of its silhouette also seemed to match that of the Arzuros, so the guild began to investigate. Within a short while, the Giant of the Snowfields was sighted and officially recorded. It was indeed a relative of the Arzuros, and was classified under the name Lagombi. While the Arzuros resembles a bear, the Lagombi is generally noted to resemble a giant rabbit. Covered from head to toe in white fur and a thick, subcutaneous layer of fat, this fanged beast is highly adapted to life in the cold. It is native to the frigid Furahia region, and is mostly only found there, though there have been sightings as far south as the Citadel Highlands. It can generally only live in regions that have at least partial snow coverage throughout the entire year, due to its unique way of traveling. The Lagombi's belly is not furry, and is instead covered with an elastic plastron. By pouncing and landing onto this plastron with momentum, the Lagombi can slide around the ground at high speeds. While this maneuver works on many different surfaces, it is most effective on snow. The plastron is lined with hardened ridges that serve to cut and shear the snow, allowing for fast, stable, and surprisingly silent movement. Using this technique, the Lagombi scours the frigid tundras for food. While many laymen and novice hunters often mistake it for a herbivore, the Lagombi is actually omnivorous like the Arzuros, and will sometimes even actively hunt for meat. It does so by using its highly developed sense of hearing. In the world of ice and snow, sight is a tricky sense to rely on, as blizzards or snow reflections can easily obscure the vision. But the Lagombi's enormous ears are not easily tricked. By picking up even the faintest sounds, the beast tracks prey and then ambushes it with a silent, powerful slide. Seeing a Lagombi hunt is quite rare, however. They generally prefer plants and mushrooms, and will hoard them in special caches that they bury under the snow. Lagombi have an excellent memory, and will track down and dig up a previously stored cache of food whenever necessary. This behavior is probably what inspired its reputation as the digging giant of the snowfields. Like the Arzuros, the Lagombi is not particularly aggressive, but will defend itself when it feels threatened. Its threat display is very similar to that of the Arzuros. stand up, stretch arms, roar. Its ears give this display additional height, making it slightly more intimidating. Once combat commences, the Lagombi uses its plastron to slide at its enemies, aiming to run them over. One might think that at such speeds, the beast would struggle to correct its course. But that is where the Lagombi's true weapons reveal themselves: its claws. They have a unique curvature to them that is specialized to grip and stab into the snow. While sliding, the Lagombi can dig these claws into the snow to perform emergency brakes and tight turns. Once stationary, the Lagombi can use its claws like the Arzuros does to swipe and slash at enemies. It also grows a shell bracer that enhances the durability of the claws, though this one isn't as developed or as spiky as the bracers found on Arzuros. But the claws' true power is how well they can handle massive amounts of snow. The Lagombi can dig its hands into the ground and launch large snowballs and globs at enemies, slowing them down and freezing them. This tactic is also rarely used on prey that manages to avoid its initial ambush. The claws' constant proximity to snow also makes them ice cold to the touch, and getting hit by them rapidly saps the target's body temperature to further exhaust them. Lastly, the Lagombi's legs are also highly muscular, allowing it to leap into the air and come crashing down violently. But while it can defend itself in emergencies, the Lagombi also has many weaknesses. For one, its rear end is generally unprotected and can be damaged quite severely when hit. Additionally, its ears being sensitive is a double-edged sword, as loud sounds can easily stun the beast, something any aspiring monster hunters might want to keep in mind. Beyond that, the high concentration of nerves in the ears also makes any blows suffered by them extremely painful. The guild actually receives quite regular requests for Lagombi hunts, though, which is unusual for creatures of such remote habitation. The reason for this is twofold. Lagombi fur is a luxury good used to make clothing in the famous poke style. Additionally, Lagombi ears are stiff and resilient, and grow a hard and sharp edge as the beast ages. The ears of an elderly Lagombi are razor sharp, and can even be used as blades for knives and short swords. So naturally, the artisan and blacksmithing guilds tend to pay a good price for them. There is, however, one more similarity between the Arzuros and the Lagombi. Just like its ursine cousin, the Lagombi species is also affected by deviants, and deviant individuals are called Snowbaron Lagombi. While much remains unknown about how this deviant emerges, some clues have revealed themselves. The Snowbaron is distinguished by an increased amount of fur with a darkened hue. In one peculiar sighting, two regular Lagombi had been observed meeting, resulting in the lighter fur individual submitting to the darker furred one. So perhaps the darkness of one's fur indicates some kind of social hierarchy, meaning that the Snowbaron may be the result of some endocrine process tied to dominance displays. Either way, the Snowbaron Lagombi is a powerful monarch. It rules the tundra mercilessly, its face and ears adorned with numerous spiky protrusions. Its muscles are large and dense, allowing it to make short work of most adversaries. When launching snow, it can hurl enormous boulders and even throw multiple of them at once. It also uses its powerful grip to compress the snow it holds, causing it to pack even more of a punch. The ridges on the plastron have also deepened and become jagged. This results in the Snowbaron's slide causing waves of snow and sleet around the beast, meaning that it can slow down and freeze enemies just by whizzing past them. The guild takes reports of Snowbarons extremely seriously. On at least one occasion, a rampaging deviant Lagombi buried an entire village under an avalanche. That cannot be allowed to happen ever again. The survey into legends that could reveal more hard-claw-fanged beasts also led to another discovery, one made in the volcanoes of Erude. There, the scattered populations that inhabit this rugged land tell cautionary tales of the Mountain Thunder, a creature that rolls across the peaks and runs over cocky hikers and fraudulent merchants. It's mostly a humorous story, told in sarcastic tones lit by the torches of taverns, but the guild considered it worth investigating all the same. A research team was stationed around the sites where this thunder had been seen, and soon enough, the culprit was found. It was a monster, and it was indeed a fanged beast. But while the Lagombi and the Arzuros had been quite similar to one another, this creature was a different story. The guild nonetheless classified it into the Hardclaw suborder, and named it Volvidon. This odd fanged beast is generally found in hot climates, appearing on both the Erude and Sakumea peninsulas. What immediately stood out about the Volvidon was how different it is compared to its close relatives, while still having the same basic body plan. Its face is flat and long, and its body is covered not in fur, but in a distinctly red shell. This segmented armor is thick and sturdy, yet elastic, granting the beast high defense with virtually no downsides to its mobility. The shell is also supremely heat resistant, and can even withstand magma for a short while. The shell also enables the Volvidon's most amazing behavior. By curling its body, the segments of its shell overlap such that they turn the creature's body into an armored ball. The elasticity of the shell is also capable of redistributing force, so by strategically contracting and expanding the muscles under it, the Volvidon can bounce while rolled up, gathering momentum and moving at high speeds. This way of movement allows for all-terrain traversal, a necessity when one lives among the dunes and the crags. Using its bizarre travel method, the Volvidon patrols its habitat in search of its favorite foods. While it is technically omnivorous like its relatives, it has a high preference for insects and has adapted to eating them almost exclusively. Its main feeding method relies on using its tongue, which is prehensile and can extend to a total length of nearly 20 meters. It can infiltrate Altaroth nests and pull them out of their tunnels, or it can snipe Banahabras straight out of the air. The Volvidon is a very successful feeder, and spends much of its time gorging itself on insects. It has also been observed cleaning its shell with its tongue. The Volvidon is a fairly timid creature that doesn't actively seek out conflict. In most cases, it will simply escape by rolling away, attempting to squeeze into some crevice or rock tunnel to get away. It will only fight once cornered, where it displays some pretty adept combat skills. While balled up, it can roll into enemies and attempt to inflict blunt force trauma. Once unfurled, it, like its cousins, relies on claw strikes to fight back. Its hands have 4 fingers, with the second finger and claw being abnormally large, often compared to a trowel. While these strikes can cause serious lacerations, the Volvidon is not as skilled at using them as its relatives. Instead, the Volvidon may use its long tongue as a whip, striking foes from afar with wide-ranging attacks. But the Volvidon's true power lies in its chemical weapons. For one, many of the insects it devours, such as the Banahabra, contain various paralytic poisons. When feeding, these poisons are stored in the Volvidon's paralysis sac, which connects to its saliva glands. By mixing these compounds in its mouth, the Volvidon can spit globules of concentrated paralysis venom, which is absorbed by the skin of whoever gets splashed by it. This venom is potent enough to stop even large wyverns in their tracks. Perfect time for the Volvidon to make its escape. Should an attacker remain persistent, the Volvidon has one more trick it can pull off. When digesting the shells of insects, the Volvidon's gut produces various foul gases, which get stored in a layer under its skin. When necessary, the Volvidon can expel these gases from the gaps between its shell segments, dousing any unlucky enemy in a pungent cloud of odor. This smell is so disgusting that it repels most monsters instantly, and it is known to outright prevent humans from ingesting anything if they are hit. Catastrophical for hunters relying on elixirs and potions. The Volvidon is, however, not a fighter, and is always looking for a way to escape. Rightly so, as any violent conflict puts it at a disadvantage by default. While it has many useful weapons, in order to use any of them, the Volvidon has to unfurl, leaving its soft and colorful belly exposed to counterattacks. The guild generally does not prioritize Volvidon hunts, as it rarely causes trouble and its materials are extremely hard to work with due to their heat resistance. Curiously, unlike its close relatives, the Volvidon species seems to be entirely unaffected by deviance. Next time on Monster Hunter Ecology. A lonesome singer beckons. Its dance calls to the wind and the sea. Even as danger approaches, even as the earth trembles, the show must go on. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you are currently enjoying Monster Hunter Ecology Season 3, and I want to obviously thank all of my patrons. I also want to especially thank Morgul Blank, Tactiwolf, Phyla Zero, Glitchy, Jacob Coleman, Hellbug Hunter, Shebo, M1Have12, Regal Eagle, Wronger97, Quali, Elzendo Carlo, MattHat124, My Name Gone, The Dollarfish, King Dre, Ryan Hook, Veraxis, Thick, Kuroneko, Zion H.V. Augensen, A.J. Rivera, Alistair, Jacob the Numbnut, Soruka, Sir Newt Newt, Evie, Rambling Robin, Black Ace 202, Dissy, Hubble Himbro Mirror, Magenta Magenta, Arcturian 711, Russell, Vulgar Beast, Person 212, Claire Miboon, Oakwood Tree, Mr. Pyramid, Makoto 02, Geo, Jamie Tate, Nils Schlatter, Iron Camel, and I'm going to bed. Take care everyone, and I'll see you around next time. Bye bye, love ya.